Hi, I am Dr. Brandon LePage. I'm Applied Lecturer of Flute at Oakland University, and this is my tutorial for the 2024-2025 MSBOA All State Etude. We are looking at Ernesto Kohler's Etude from Opus 66, number 7, in Moonlight. I am going to start by having us focus on the Pio Vivo section. It is my recommendation to my students to always go where you are most nervous. If it scares you, if it looks crazy, if it looks so anxiety-invoking, right? Start there. Start there because then you can show yourself that it's not as difficult as it might appear. When I'm looking at an etude like this, the first thing that I want to find are patterns. Are there patterns in the music that I can translate to practice that I am able to do away from the etude? The first thing that jumps out to me at this Pio Vivo right away is an arpeggio. Then it happens again. These are arpeggios in E flat major. Arpeggios are typically made up of the root, third, and fifth of a scale. So in E flat major, this is the first note, the root, which is E flat, the third note, which is G, and the fifth note, which is B flat. So I know that away from the music, I can implement practicing these arpeggios starting on each note in order to make it easier when I get to the movement itself. So I'm going to start by doing it on E flat, and then I'm going to do it on G, and then I'm going to do it on B flat as the starting and ending pitches. So we have this first, and I'm going to do it in sixes like I see. That's from E flat. Now I'm going to go G to G. And to make it even more difficult, so it's easier when I get to the music, I'm going to do B flat to B flat. And I'm going to simply practice those in the tempo of the piece so that when it comes to this, it's going to be super, super easy. So that's number one. Find the technical problems that are going to be unique to what you find anxiety invoking, and then practice them, or turn them into an exercise that you can do away from the music. I also see quite a bit of leaps up to a B flat. Now this is an E flat major, so we have to keep that in mind when we're practicing this, but again, I can turn this into an exercise. So the first thing I'm going to do is start on a B flat, and I'm going to go B flat to A flat, B flat to G, B flat to E flat, B flat to D, down to the lower B flat. So I'm practicing these big leaps, expanding them each time. You are doing up and down, but that focuses mostly on the going down. We're going in both directions here, so I'm simply going to reverse that for my practice. So that when I get to the third measure of the Poco Vivo, those leaps all of a sudden are easy because I've practiced them away from the music. That's just a little bit of help with the Poco Vivo section. Now I want to talk about the very first section that repeats at the end. We have a couple of thematic things that happen in here that I want to point out. We start by having a call and response. You'll notice that there is a motive followed by a lower motive. These are connected, and I think of them as conversational. So we've got this conversation. That is, hello, I'm here. And then the second part of it, which I see as a little bit more, oh no, I was too loud. And even though it looks different, this actually repeats again in the next two measures. So we've got our conversational four measures, followed by a little bit of longer technique. And again, I see chromatic I see all sorts of neighbor tones, which are tones that are right next to each other. Chromatic neighbor tones like F sharp to E sharp. If you've never seen an E sharp before, it is simply the same fingering as an F natural. Those are things that I would also consider practicing. And there is even an arpeggio in here. A different kind of arpeggio than in the E flat section, but an arpeggio nonetheless. The last thing that I want to talk about in this tutorial is the breathing. Figuring out where to breathe can be very complicated, but I would recommend that it's one of the first things that you do. Plan the breathing, know where it's going to happen, know when it's going to happen, and know why it's going to happen. In the first section, there are quite a few obvious instances to breathe. There's also some unobvious breathing instances, but in general, this movement is either in 2 or 4 bar phrases. You can think of it as 2 or 4 bar phrases, which means every 2 to 4 bars you are able to take a breath. If there's a pause after a note, that's a good time to take a breath. If you see a rest, that's always a good time to take a breath. And you can go listen to my performance video of it to see more about where I breathe. I hope that this helps you as you prepare the etude, and I am always available for a lesson or a coaching if you'd like to come play for me to prepare for MSBOA or to consider talking about what coming to Oakland University would look like for you. You can find me online very easily at brandonlepage.com. You can email me directly from my website, or LePage, BLEPAGE, at oakland.edu for my direct email address at Oakland University. Happy practicing!